Sweet lavender. The lavender shouldn't have been blooming at night. Sarah Winters noticed this first as she pulled her rusted Honda Civic up the moonlit drive of Echo Fields Farm. The sprawling purple rose seemed to pulse in the darkness, their scent unnaturally heavy in the October air. Her headlights caught the farm's sign, hand-carved wood-stained burgundy, strange symbols etched along its border. "Ah, you must be Sarah." The voice emerged from the darkness. A tall figure moved with fluid grace despite his age. "Thaddeus Wormwood III, please call me Tad." His appearance was striking, white hair swept back from sharp features, but his eyes held her attention, an impossible shade of violet that had to be contacts. He smiled, showing perfect teeth. "Welcome to Echo Fields. You're just in time." "For the harvest?" Sarah kept her voice neutral, playing the eager seasonal worker. "For so much more. The blood moon approaches, and we need new seeds." From the fields came soft chanting. Figures in crimson robes moved between lavender rows, copper masks catching moonlight. Each carried dried flowers bound with copper wire. "Evening meditation," Tad said, "an old family tradition." Sarah followed him to her cabin, fingers brushing the transmitter in her pocket. 6 workers had disappeared from Echo Fields during past blood moons. The FBI needed evidence. That's why she was here. Her cabin walls held dried lavender and red candles in copper holders. The air felt thick, metallic. Behind loose boards, she found hidden altars and photographs of previous workers, their expressions growing vacant over time, hands stained red. "Day 1 at Echo Fields," she whispered into her phone. Subject leading some kind of cult, references to seeds and blood moon. Previous victims possibly. She stopped. In the window's reflection, her eyes seemed to shine violet. The first week passed in purple haze. Each morning, Sarah joined dawn ceremonies, pretending to drink the reddish tea while others grew distant, their eyes taking on that strange sheen. Clarity became its own torture. 10 days until the blood moon, Tad announced. "Our newest seed shows such promise." Sleep brought dreams of copper wires wrapping her wrists, lavender roots pushing through veins, ancient words that made terrible sense. Her transmissions grew desperate. Day 8, found hair in ritual wreaths. Cooper's compromised. The lavender moves when no one's watching. My eyes in the mirror, still brown, still brown, still. She found Agent Cooper hanging copper chimes, his eyes now violet. "You feel it too?" he asked dreamily. "The flowers speak truth, Sarah, let them in." She ran, but the lavender field pulsed around her. The scent overwhelmed, metallic and sweet. Her mind felt soft at the edges. Day 11. Cooper's turned, symbols everywhere. I recognize them now. How do I recognize them? The tea, the flowers, something in the soil. Blood moon tomorrow. Tad calls me his perfect vessel. My eyes. Please, are my eyes still brown? The blood moon hung swollen on the horizon. Sarah's reflection showed a stranger, pale, drawn, dark circles under eyes that caught light like violet stars. A small, treacherous part wondered if the flowers really did speak truth. The final night arrived with copper chimes, or was that the tinnitus? She couldn't trust her senses anymore. The ceremonial mask felt alive in her hands. Had she been drinking the tea without knowing? The procession moved like a fever dream. Robed figures multiplied in her peripheral vision. Tad's hand burned ice-cold on her elbow. The ritual space sprawled before them. Copper altar, ancient symbols, lavender patterns that shifted when she wasn't looking. Focus. Remember who you are. But who was she? Agent Sarah Winters? A cover story? A dream? The lavender's scent filled her head with white noise, whispering promises of belonging. "Kneel," Tad commanded. Sarah knelt. The earth moved beneath her. Or was she swaying? The moon pulsed overhead like a heart monitor. Tad began chanting in words she shouldn't understand, but did. Had she always known this language? The copper knife gleamed. Sirens pierced the night. Unless that was just the ringing in her ears. Dark figures emerged. FBI vests, Cooper's face twisted in ecstasy or agony, the knife catching moonlight or bloodlight, or maybe just her mind finally snapping. Later, Sarah would never be quite sure what happened. Her report mentioned cult members resisting arrest, Thaddeus Wormwood falling into a hidden irrigation ditch, the copper knife catching him in the fall. It didn't mention how the lavender seemed to drink his blood, how the stems reached like hungry fingers, how his eyes burned violet in the darkness. They found 43 cult members needing psychiatric care, 6 years of missing persons cases resolved with bodies in the far field. No ritual significance, just a killer hiding victims beneath beautiful things. The lavender died that winter. Bad soil, the agricultural report said. Too much copper content. Sarah sat in the ambulance as they checked her vital signs. Dehydration, exhaustion, hallucinogenic exposure from ritual tea. Simple explanations for impossible things. Her reflection showed brown eyes. Just brown, almost entirely brown. That night in the hospital, she dreamed of copper and flowers and truth. But this time she questioned the dreams. After all, reality is just what we agree to believe. In the evidence locker at FBI headquarters, behind 3 feet of steel, an ancient book sat silent. Sometimes late at night, the guards thought they smelled lavender, but that was impossible. Just imagination. Just like the way the pages seemed to rustle when no one was watching. Just like the strange shadows between lines of text. Just like the whispers that might have been voices or might have been wind or might have been nothing at all. After all, flowers can't speak truth, can they?